Hello, Wake Forest. Alex Hernitz here again to talk a little more in depth about why I want to be one of your 1L Honor Council representatives and hope for your vote this Friday, September 13th. Now, this is going to get a little personal and I'm going to bare my soul a little bit, so I hope you'll stick around for just a minute. Now, I discussed how integrity and confidence in the confidentiality of the process is so important when it comes to an organization like Honor Council. But what's also important is to make sure that we're recognizing that these are our peers. These are our fellow students and human beings. Sometimes we're going to make mistakes in or out of school. And if it's in school, it may result in a slap on the wrist. Maybe it also results in being dismissed from law school. But the process needs to work, and it needs to work fairly so that we get to the right conclusion. I can speak to that because back in 2011, when I was a freshman, I got in trouble. I got brought before an honor council by a professor. Now, it wasn't for plagiarism, it wasn't for stealing somebody else's work, AI wasn't a thing back then. No, this was because I lied. I wasn't able to complete an assignment in time, even to turn it in late. I'd been partying all weekend, forgot about the assignment to finish it, had been drunk, and told the professor, sure, actually it must have been the website that was the problem, right? I tried to turn it in and the website must have gone wrong. The professor took me to task for that. He brought me before an honor council, and ultimately I failed the class, which was the first time I had failed a class, I think, in my life, let alone lied about it. And it had serious repercussions. My parents were really disappointed in me. They said they still loved me, and I mostly believed them. But they really did support me afterwards, but made it clear that this was going to be hard because it also meant that I had lost one of my scholarships. I was disappointed in myself. I had humiliated myself by making a really stupid mistake, where if I had just talked to the professor, talked to a counselor, talked to my family or friends about the numerous personal issues that I was going through in this second semester of college, a lot of personal traumas, then maybe this all would have been mitigated. Not excused, but at least understood from all the parties involved. But another reason this is so important to me is because the whole process felt messy. It felt rushed. My dad was able to be there as an advocate for me, but he wasn't allowed to speak or advise me during the hearing. The professor did a number of things that had big fat question marks on it. So even though the process resulted in a conclusion that was probably fair and legitimate, the fact that it took so long for me to decouple and learn from that mistake is because I held so much anger, not only at myself, but at the process for so long because of those questionable behaviors. Now, that doesn't excuse my actions, but it is something where I've become a really fierce proponent because of those experiences 12 years ago, that we do things right and we do them well, and we do it well and right the first time to the best that we can. Now, nobody is perfect. And you may ask, well, Alex, why would we want somebody that's been in front of the Honor Council to then be a representative on the Honor Council making these decisions? And that question actually answers itself. You see, I've been through all these experiences. I'm a non-traditional student. I've had a lot to learn over the last 12 years or more since that incident actually happened. It's actually going closer on to 15 years now, if I'm being honest with my age. And so I want to be that voice of reason, not only for advocating for people if they do wrong, but advocating for the process itself. It serves nobody if a process has a question of legitimacy because the actors within it behaved in a way that creates some doubts, creates some significant gray areas about how they handled a situation. I want to make sure that the process is right for everyone. I want to make sure that the process results in the right conclusion, and I want to make sure that the process is done the right way so that everyone comes out of it with the satisfaction that at the very least you had a fair procedure, you had a fair hearing, had a fair investigation, and people are protected one way or the other. So for all those reasons, I know that's very personal, but I do hope that you can see why this might be so important to me. It was a very formative moment for me as a young student. It ultimately led to the professional integrity that I had as a paralegal, because if anything, I over-communicate, I make sure that I get verification of problems, I let people know in advance if something's going to be a problem, and I learn to do things the right way the first time. So for all those reasons, I hope you'll still consider me as your 1L Honor Council representative and get your vote this Friday, September 13th.